Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my last wrap up for the year. So basically I have like 7-8-ish books to talk about and I wanted to keep up with posting every single day. You might notice I look a little different. I am not feeling good at all, but I really wanted to finish my year properly. I said I would post one video a day until the end of the year. So if I look and sound rough, it's because I'm feeling very, very rough. I'm wearing my PJs, like, yeah, full on veggie right now. Some of these I did talk about in other videos, but I will still do it kind of briefly though, kind of don't want to repeat myself. First one being The Stand by Stephen King. It took me forever to go through this book because I started at the end last week of October-ish when I was traveling, listened to most of it as an audiobook, and then came back and was able to finish it as a physical book. I got sick twice in that month because that's what this book does to you, but I do absolutely recommend it. Some people were asking me which book I would recommend you starting if you want to get into Stephen King. I always go with The Long Walk, which has nothing to do with his usual style. Actually, I have it here. And it's my favorite by him so far. I've read a couple, I don't even know how many, probably something like 5, 7, 8 maybe. And this is my favorite, and it's fairly short too, so it's much easier to get into than like committing to this type of book. I like the beginning much better. I talked about that in my wrap up for the end of the big book reading challenge, but I was fascinated by how the disease was spreading, and the ending was kind of fast. But you do get attached to the characters, you follow them for so long too. Not my favorite by him, but I would still recommend it if you're someone that is really obsessed, as I am, with post-apocalyptic books. Next book I finished was an audiobook, and it was A Theory of Everything by Stephen Hawking. I listened to this one because it was fairly short. Actually, I thought at first it was this book when I got it from my library. It was not. I think the beginning, I think it was like 5 hours. The first hour-ish or two was stuff I already knew, so it was kind of but then it got more and more interesting throughout, and then I would say the second half was much better. My issue is that I love listening to nonfiction as audiobooks. I find them very easy to follow, easy to go through. The only thing is I don't feel like I retain them as well. So if you need to get that knowledge, I do always recommend, I don't know, personally, reading it is easier. But yeah, I don't need to pass a test, so for me it was fine like this. And I did actually afterwards try to listen to this one as an audiobook, and I just wanted to mention it because the audiobook is horrible. I don't know if they have different versions somewhere, but like horrible quality. It was like scratchy in the background. The voice was hard to like even hear and listen, and just a mess. So I will be reading it as a physical book since I do have it, but I just thought I would share that knowledge. The next one I did finish was this one. This is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is book 2 in the Broken Earth trilogy, which is part of my reading challenge of the year. I'll talk about that in a second, but I have to say, this one I felt like there was a lot of back and forth of like slower pace and then finally picking up and slower pace, and like I literally put the book down when I had like, I don't know, like 50 pages left. It took me a day or two to pick it back up, and then obviously I had stopped right before it picked up, as it usually happens, right? And I love the ending, but I completely understand that if you're someone that needs things to be fast-paced, this series in general will not be for you. But I am enjoying it enough to continue. I'm currently reading the 3rd book, so. Fascinating magic system. I love the world, I love the characters. It's just that the pace is a little bit all over the place, and the writing makes it pretty, but just slower paced too. Next book is also nonfiction. This one I absolutely loved. This is A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bryson. I feel like everyone knew about this book except me. It's a nonfiction about like kind of sciencey, I guess. I thought it was going to be too similar to Cosmos, which I haven't read the book, although I do own it, but I did watch the TV series, loved it. And everyone puts this on their list of like, if you have to, you know, read 10 books for the rest of your life type of thing, this would be it. And I found it really, really enjoyable, a lot more attainable and understandable as some of the other stuff that I was trying to read. And I understand why everyone recommends it. Like if you're someone that liked Sapiens, but you want something that is more sciencey, get this. And by the way, I was saying Cosmos, I feel like they don't have the same content, which was my fear. And yeah, it was very enjoyable. I listened to part of it also as an audiobook. It was great. I tend to listen to a lot of nonfiction books as audiobooks because I feel like I can easily put the book down and pick it back up, and I don't have to like remember the names of the characters and everything. So personally, I find it very easy to just, you know, on and off all the time. So yeah, I totally recommend this book. I understand why everyone loves it. It was great. I don't think I need to even talk about this anymore. I've been very vocal. I have a full reading vlog on it, and it made it to my worst of the year. At this point, I think I've been almost too harsh on it. People were being so offended by some of the stuff I said in my worst. And I think people are like twisting my word a little bit, but I feel like that's one of the things, right? I feel like sometimes people take offense to everything, and that's why everyone has disclaimers all the time. Even though everyone hates disclaimers, we kind of have to, because we hear every day, all day, that we're idiots and we completely misunderstand the books and the quality of it and everything. And I'm sorry but not sorry. I still stand by the fact that this writing is not great writing, and that I understand people loving it. Like, that's fine. Like, I have nothing against people that love romance or that only reads nonfiction. I have nothing against people like me that read mostly fantasy and sci-fi and stuff. Like, it's not about judging that. It's about, at one point, kind of being honest that, look, this isn't great literature, and that's fine. It's entertainment, and as long as everyone agrees with that, I have no issue with it. So yeah, that was, I don't know. Oh, I probably shouldn't even go into it because I have like no energy to debate this, but yeah, 1 star. Didn't like it. I'm still considering continuing because I have a friend that has all of the books, and she very kindly offered to get rid of all of them to give them to me so I could read them all. And I don't know, like, it will depend. I feel like if I'm in a slump-ish and I want to, or, you know, just in a bad mood, I'll read them and bash them or be super shocked and love them. It happened to me with, like I said, A Course of Thorns and Roses. Book 2 was so much better. So maybe one day. I'm just not in a rush, you know. Then I read/listen. You might notice a pattern here. The end of the year is like the worst for me. I'm so busy with, obviously, you know, friends and family, parties, festivities, and then I film like a moron. Like, I've been posting like 1 video a day-ish on this channel. Like, I'm about to hit, if everything goes well, 15 videos in 1 month on this channel. It's crazy. So I've been only listening to book as audiobooks mostly because I have no freaking time. But like, as I'm getting ready or, you know, doing other stuff, I'm able to go through books and still, you know, read. So this one was one of those that I mostly listened to it as an audiobook, even though I do own the physical copy. But I tend to do that. I get them from my library. So I feel like I'm going through my physical TBR, even though I'm listening to them. It's all good. Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Aang. This is a, you know, actually, Little Fire Everywhere that she came out with. If you like that one, you're gonna like that one, vice versa. You're following a family, a mixed Chinese and American family, and you're following the kids as they go through the death of one of the kids, basically. And it's definitely character driven. It's not action driven. None of her books seems to be. And if you're someone that enjoy contemporary and want to be heartbroken through story, I guess. I did enjoy this. It wouldn't have made it to my best of the year, but it was a solid read if that's something you're into. It's just not my usual genre, but I do like to once in a while go outside of my comfort zone, and this was great for that. Oh, I feel like I'm losing my voice too now. The last book I did finish, because there's one I want to talk about that I didn't finish, was The Cabin at the End of the World by Potami. I've been wanting to read another book by him, which I have like right there, and now I can't remember the title. It's all good. And this one I picked it up last second at my library because it was available as an audiobook. I had been on the waiting list for like the longest time. And I love the premise. Basically, you're following a couple. They're married and they have an adopted daughter. And they are in a little cottage, basically in the middle of nowhere. And there's a group of people that arrives and that tells them that someone has to kill voluntarily another person in this family, or the end of the world is going to happen. And then you don't know if it's because they are both men and maybe these people are homophobic, or they're just crazy, or is it actually going to happen? Like, you don't know who's crazy, who's telling the truth. And I love the premise. I was prepared to be a little disappointed because I had read some of the reviews, so my hopes were not super high. So I wasn't super disappointed when I was disappointed at the end. It just made me like, I didn't feel like, oh, this was crap. It was just like, oh, actually I need to find books with like a similar premise that I will enjoy. So I was basically in a weird mood after that. I gave it like 2.5 stars, which is not the worst coming from me, but I wanted to talk about it because I want you to recommend me like not necessarily unreliable character, but narrator, but more like who's crazy, who's telling the truth, you know? If you have any recommendation for that, please feel free to let me know. I guess it's kind of a little bit like Shutter Island? That's the name, right? With there was a movie. I watched a movie, liked the movie. I do need to read the book. But yeah, interesting premise. The execution was kind of okay. I feel like it would have been better as a short story maybe, because it was a short book. Like, it was under 300 pages. It was a quick listen. And the audiobook was okay. I feel like some of the characters, their voices were so annoying, but I couldn't tell if it was because they were supposed to sound crazy or if the narrator was just, I don't know. Yeah, it was an okay read. Last but not least, I needed to talk about this. The Stone Key by Aang and Jemison. This is the last book in the Broken Earth trilogy that I just talked about. I thought I would be able to finish it now, this month, so I would be able to achieve that part of the reading goal, but no, it's not happening. Again, I haven't been feeling well, and I've been going through like a lot of like filming like a moron and editing like a crazy person, and you know, just life being crazy during the holidays. So it hasn't happened. It will happen next year. Like, I'm gonna finish it and I'm excited for it, but I've had literally no time. I did not open this book in the last week, like not even once. So yeah, just things are being a little crazy. So yeah, this is gonna be my wrap up for my last wrap up for 2018. I hope it was still okay. I'm really sorry. I'm just really not feeling great, and I just really wanted to still give you an update and keep up with my one video a day. I hope you enjoyed this whole like series. I know it's once a year, but like I'm only able to actually do it once a year. Next year, you'll see that in my goals for 2019, but I want to upload like once a week, once a week, every week. I'll choose a day, probably like Saturday. Feel free to vote. Again, I'll ask you in that video, but I'm just chatting away right now. And I'm excited to share my TBR. I've been starting to post all this stuff for like my goals, and I'm very excited by everyone's response and everything. So yeah, this is it. I'm going back to bed. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up because I still filmed and posted. I'm following up with my goals here. Don't forget to subscribe because I promise I'm not like this usually, and I'll be posting on the screen of the videos that I've done that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in a more exciting future video. Bye.